Hello there guys, welcome to another session of AppSheet and more. In my last video, I showed you how you could create a very insightful form view that allows you to make multiple entries at a go. Now the key problem with that video or that view was that multiple people cannot use the app at the exact same time as their data will interfere with each other. In this video, I show you a very neat trick to help you resolve that issue. If you're excited, let's see how this is done in AppSheet. So let's take a look at what first our problem was and then how we can solve it with a new solution. Okay, so I'm trying to here simulate two people using the application at the exact same time. Okay, so you have the app here for one person and the app here for another person. Now we're going to go to vehicle tracking table on both apps over here, right? And then we click the add button over here. Okay, so this is the view in the mobile view, not too intuitive. I prefer the tab view, right? So I'm just going to change this to tab over here, like this. Yeah, this is fine. I'll do tab here as well. Great. Now I want you to observe something. I'm going to make changes over here, and as I'm making changes over here, you notice that these changes will apply here. So whenever one person is using the app at the exact same time, the inputs might affect each other. So let me just demonstrate this. So I'll click this, and I'm going to set this to sit July, right? I'm going to set the project to project E, and you notice, well, it's going to be changing over here, right? So one person is using the app and at the exact same time is going to be affecting another person. When I change the number of vehicles, it's going to affect the number of vehicles over here as well. So this actually makes it difficult for two people to use the application at the exact same time. Now at the back end, the reason why this is happening is because we have just one placeholder, right, that captures a general form control. Okay, so the solution is basically to create a placeholder for each user. Each new user will have their own placeholder so that when they're entering, their data will go into their dedicated placeholder. So I'm going to show you the solution, which is this. Now, when a new user is about to use the app will automatically create a new placeholder for them. And this is how it does it. So when you come to vehicle tracking table as a new user and you click plus, this is what you're going to see first. Okay, so you're going to see this view that is going to ask you, welcome new user. It says to begin your entries, please click start. So it's just a little demonstration on how that view works. But the actual essence, aside giving the user an understanding of how the view they are going to, which is not the normal AppSheet view works, right? It also captures their data as soon as they click start. So let me reduce this into the tab mobile view so you can see the image clearly. Okay, so this is an image that actually explains what the various views of that particular or various components of that particular view is. It shows you the general control, it shows you the entry control, and it shows you where to click to access or edit this particular view, right? It can be difficult for a new user to know. So over here, it just explains the information. Let me change this to tab, right? Good. And then you can see over here, it says number one, on the left, you see the general control. You input all this information, which appears in every single row you create. Number two, over here, you have the entries where you see the number of rows you have. Number three, you click the edit icon to be able to start entry information in this view. So as soon as the user clicks start, so when you click start, you come here to the view that was just previewed. Okay, so I'm going to set the date to 26th. Okay, and I'm going to set the project to, let's say, project E, and then the number of rows, let's say number of rows 3. Okay, now once I do this, this is going to populate over here, right? Good. And then all you need to do is now click on the edit icon, and then you can go ahead and fill in this information. Now, the reason why this is working is because in the spreadsheet, right, like I was saying, there's a placeholder for each user, and then there are entry records for each user as well. So you can see over here, entry records for each user. This is what allows each user's entry to be separated and allows two or more people to make entries at the exact same time. So let's see how you can do this with AppSheet. All right, guys, so let's get this started. So this is the app we created, but then we need to fix a little problem. The problem is that multiple users cannot use this app at the exact same time, right? And that's because we have just one placeholder for our general controls. So let me just show you this. So when I click on this, I come to views and I come to tracking table show in preview. Okay, click on this plus button. That was a long way anyway. Now you have date, you have project, you have number of vehicles. This allows you to select the number of vehicles, input some fields over here, and set the date over here, right? Now this is just controlled by one rule, which is over here. So when you come to general controls, you can see this. Now we need to tweak this so that it allows us to make what multiple entries. Now there are certain things we need to do. Now the idea is to give every user his own rule that will allow him to make that entry. So what I'm going to do here is instead of having a generic ID, I'm going to put an email over here. So this is going to be Daniel dot or just the Daniel at gmail.com, something like this. You get it? And this being the key of this particular table means that it is also the ref in the what entry table over here. Okay, so I'm going to change all this to Daniel at gmail.com, something like this. Do you get it? Now we have what the ID column. The ID column was playing two roles. The first one is that it was the key of this particular column. That's why it's unique. And the second one, it tells how many rows exactly to show at every given time. So in the general control, if the user selects that, oh, I want to see 4 entries, or I want to make 4 entries, it shows the very first 4 rows. Now we're going to split those two responsibilities because we'll have multiple users having placeholder rows. So I'm going to create a number of rows column over here, right? And that is also going to have the same responsibility as this. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this over here. The difference is that when there's a new email, let's say jack at gmail.com, right? This is going to continue to 21, 22, 23, and so on. Whilst this is going to remain 1 to 20. So you're going to have something like this, right? And then we're going to have this rolling down to 40. So let me drag this all the way to 40. Okay. Right. And then we have Jack rolling down all the way as well. So it's going to be something like this. And then we'll have a placeholder for Jack over here. So we'll have a new column, Jack at gmail.com. So whenever a new person logs into the app, this is what we want to do. We want to first create a rule that will be what for Jack, right, as the ID. And then in the entry table, we'll have the IDs continuing sequentially. And then we'll have his email being column B. And then in column I, we'll have 1 to 20 listed out for him. That's all we want to do. And this will solve the multiple users using the exact same time problem. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to regenerate a few things. So come back here. Okay, in the entry table, I need to bring number of rows. So let me just regenerate. Okay, so we have number of rows over here. We have ID, we have GC, everything is fine. In general control, okay, I'm going to change this. It's currently using unique ID, but I'm going to change this to user email. So I wanted to pick the user email as and when a user logs into that particular view. Click done. Let's save this. Okay, so currently we have tweaked our table. Now let's create the view that will allow us to pick the data we need. Okay, so I'll come here to views, right? And I'm going to create a reference view. Okay, so this view is only going to be seen by a new user for the very first time. Whenever the user is trying to use that particular view, he's going to see this before he can go into that tabular view we've created. So in general control, I'm going to create a form view. Okay, so here we have ID, dates, project, a number of vehicles, right? But then what we actually want to do is we want to use this particular view as a way to communicate to the user what to expect in the tabular form he's going to see. Okay, so what I mean is when you come to this completed version, okay, I'm going to use an example. Let's say Jude at gmail.com, okay, and apply. Okay, so when I click on this plus, right, Jude sees this. Do you see? Because Jude is a new user. So Jude sees this, he sees all this information. When Jude clicks start and comes here, a new record is going to be created for Jude, right? If Jude goes back again and clicks on the plus again, he's not going to see that new record. Um that information view he saw before he came here, right? So Jude is going to sort of, for the very first time, see that view and then get some sense of okay, how this is supposed to work. And then also at the back end, we are also creating a record for him when once he clicks start. So that's the whole idea of this. Okay, so let's come back here. So we're going to take all these out, and then this particular field, we're going to leave it to automatically pick the ID, right? Good. So I'm going to come here to table, and then I'm going to add the columns that are going to be the display columns. Now, the columns we use for this is called the show data type. So when you click on plus, I'm going to call this header. Okay, I'm going to set the column formula to blank. And then here, under type, I'm going to select show, right? Good. Now, in category, I'm going to use section header. Okay, and I'm going to say, welcome, new user. All right, this is just going to be a header. Okay, that's the first one. So you're going to see over here, welcome new user. I'm going to click plus here. I'm going to say instructive message. This is a message on how to use the view they're about to migrate to. Okay. Yeah, set this to blank. Click save. Change this to show. Okay. Now, the type for this one is going to be text. Okay. And then the content is going to be, I already have this in my copy. So let me just paste this over here. So to begin making your entries, click start and all those things, sort of things he needs to see. Now there's an accompanying image as well. Okay, and we have a data type for that. That's a show. Okay, so show, and then we have for the type you set it to image. Okay, so let me just create the last one. But before I create it, what I have to do is upload the image into the same folder that the spreadsheet belongs. That way I can use the image name. Other than that, I need to use the link and then I can use that. So let's come to the spreadsheet. Okay, I'm going to click this icon and I'm going to click this icon as well. This takes me to the folder where the spreadsheet is located. It's very important if you want to use the name of the image instead of having to use a link, which I think is very easy. So I'm going to click new, I'm going to click file upload. Okay, and I'm going to select my file, which is this, and I'm going to click open. So my file is going to be uploaded. Now, because I'm using the file name, I don't necessarily need to set it to anyone can view this. If I was using the link, I need to set it to anyone can view, or anyone with the link can view. All right, so I'm going to come back um, to my app, right? And I'm going to create the last show type, which is going to be image. All right, and then I'm going to click here, set this to blank, and I'm going to click save. Okay, then when I come here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to set this to show, right? And then I'm going to click on category, set this to image, and then under content, name of the file, PNG. This is only possible because we set or we place the image in the same folder as the spreadsheet. I'm going to click save, I'm going to click done. Okay, now let's come here to view, new user, right? And then let's just save this. We have image already there. Let's just save this. Okay, so let's see how this looks. So show in preview, right? And our image is not showing, okay? And for me, showing an image in a form has been something I struggled with until I discovered why this was a problem. So when you come here to security, there is an option security that prevents this from rendering. That's the require image and file URL signing. So you have to disable this, okay, and you have to save again. And then after that, your image should render. So let's see. So let's come back here. Let's go to view. Let's click show. Let's click show in preview. And then you have your image rendering, okay? So I'm just going to rearrange this manual, and then I'm going to drag this up. Okay, above, below header, but then above the instructive message. I'm going to hide these other ones. So number of entries, go, project, go, dates, and then ID, bring back header, which you mistakenly took off. Select. Right, good. So, oh, where's my image? Bring it here. So you have something like this. So now welcome new user, they see these three sections and then they get instructions about what each section is all about. Now, it will be difficult for the user to understand what you mean by click save. What am I saving? Okay, so I'm going to change the save to start. So when the user is going, you're just going to click OK, start. And when he clicks start, it goes ahead to see the new view. So we'll come here and then under setting, under localization, we can localize or we can change some action buttons or action terms in the app. So instead of having save in this view, I'm going to click this as well. And I'm going to say over here, I'm going to take this guy off. I'm going to use a formula F. I'm going to say context is equal to, so context view. Context view means that context view will pull out the name of the view you're currently operating in. So if the name of the view I'm currently operating in is new user, it's not case sensitive, right? Then what I want you to put there is start. Other than that, I want you to put save. So any other view should have the word save, but then if it is new user, have start, right? Good. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to save. Okay. Now for cancel, I will do the same thing as well. So let me click this, click that. I'm going to paste here. For some reason, my laptop has gotten slow. Okay, paste this here. And I'll say contents, just give me blank with a space in it. Other than that, give me the usual cancel. And I'm going to click save. So we have this also as well, right? Now what we're going to do is we're just going to click save here and see how this comes out. All right, so let's go to this view, click, come to views, show in preview. Good. So the user is going to see this. So welcome new user, sees that, sees all this, and then he sees what starts. So when he clicks start, it automatically creates a new record for them. But what we want to do is once the user clicks start, we want to take the user to the view we are actually preparing them for. Okay, so we're going to take them to that view. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to create the placeholder rules for them in the entry table. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make this easy. We're going to click assign auto. So when you finish in a form view, you can actually assign where you want the person to go. Not tracking vehicle table, tracking vehicle entries. This one. Yes. So let's see. So when the new user clicks start, then you come here. Fantastic. Good. So now what we want to do is we want to come to our action items, and then we want to do a few things. Okay. So first and foremost, we want to change this plus icon so that when a new user clicks on it, instead of coming here, they need to go through that route and then they'll come here. So we'll come back here, this action icon, click on this, and then we'll say if, okay, in user email is in general control what's the column we're looking at? ID. So if the user's email is in general column, if the user's email is in the general control table dot ID column, then take me to the link, take me to this view. Other than that, take me to the new view we just created. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to paste this here. And I'm going to change this from this to new user. So I'm basically tweaking this formula to say that, okay, if the user is a new user, right, I want you to take me to the new user view. Other than that, take me to the normal one. So I'm going to click save. Click save. So we can test this out and see. So this email has a record over there. So once I click this plus, it takes me here. Okay. Now let's go back to this. Let me set this to just finex@gmail.com. Apply. And then let me click on the plus. And it takes me here. So every new user has to go through this route before they have access to that view. And by clicking start, they automatically create their own view. Now, all we need to do is create placeholder rows in the entry table, because right now this already creates in the general control. Now we need records in the entry table. We can use an action to do this, but it'll be too slow to create 20 new records with an action, right? So what we're going to use, we're going to use a script to create those rules so that it's faster. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this with ChatGPT, the scripts. Just feed it with the prompt and then it will go. So I'm just going to put this prompt over here. I already created this. So the prompt says, write a Google AppSheet script function that opens a specific Google Sheet using this particular URL, this particular function or method, right? So I'm going to provide a URL in the function, and it says read the data from a sheet called general control, and for each row where column A has a value and column E is blank, append 20 rows into another sheet called entry table. Each new row should have a sequential number in column A, and then column B, the value from copy the value from column B and set the index number in column I. Finally, mark the original row as done in column E. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it's just going to generate the script for us nicely. Okay, you don't need to spend too much time on this. Good. So I'm just going to copy the scripts. Okay, and I'm going to come back here. Now I'll come back to my folder and then I'm just going to create this file. So more than Google App Scripts. Okay, create scripts. And then Control A, Control V. We have this. Now all I need to do is to provide a link of the sheet over here. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to click this, copy this link, come back here. I'm going to put this here. Okay, and then I'll name this project as multiple rules scripts. Rename. Okay, so we have this in place and I can just save this. That's it. Right now, look what happened when I click on run. When I come here, okay, it's going to create rules for each of these ones because they don't have done here. So let's click entry. Oh, I need to authorize it. Hold on. View permissions. Right. And then advance. And then go to multiple rules scripts. And then continue. You need to do this once. Okay, so it's going to run. And then let's see what happens. Executed. Fantastic. Let's come here. Good. So you see we had this. Okay, we didn't get it right. But don't worry, we can easily fix this. It's supposed to take from column A, but it's picking from column B. So we need to tweak our script. So let's go in here. And this is why you need to have a little understanding of this. Okay, so value to copy is column A, not column B. So let's set it to column A as well. All right, I'm going to rerun this again. So let's clear this and let's go back here. I'm going to clear these ones as well. Okay, let's save this and let's run this. Okay, let's see if it worked. Fantastic, it worked, right? It worked. Okay, you don't need to have a lot of knowledge in AppSheet to get the results I'm getting. Good. So we have this in place. So I'm going to actually make this my status column, right? And then what is going to happen is that I'm going to call this script into my app so that every time there's a new record over here, it's just going to run. Simple. So let's come here into my app. We're going to go to the table first and regenerate the general control once more. So regenerate. Okay. This column doesn't need to show. So that actually doesn't break, it just needs to be there. Okay, now we're going to create a bolt, right? And then I'm going to click the plus button, create new bolt. Okay, now this bolt is going to be in the general controls. So create, remember to set your table to general control. Okay, this should run only when you have ads. Okay, then I'm going to click this, create a new step. Click here and then call a script. Okay, so over here, I'm going to click this. And I'm going to call my script. It's called multiple rows. Okay, that's it over here. Good. Great. So we have our script in here, and then we're just going to select the function, which is this. Scripts can have many functions. You need to specify which one. And we have to give it authorization. So let's see. Can we just go ahead? Let me save this. So once we have this in place, we know that whenever a new user clicks or creates their record, the script is just automatically going to run. So let's try this. So when I come here for Finance Skills Hub and I click this and I click Start, okay, I expect that two things should happen. One, I should have my record over here, good. And second thing is there should be good. So we are done with that section. So now what we can do is we're going to go in there and then we're going to create the slides that will make sure that this Finance Skills Hub is just going to see the data that relates to it. And we're done. So we're going to come here under views, and then come here to view. Okay. And then we're going to do this first for the general control. Instead of using the entire general control, which uses only the first record, we're going to use the record dedicated to that user. So I'm going to click on this. Not that, use slice. Okay, now create a new slice. Okay, over here, we're going to create a formula, an expression. So over here, we're going to use only just one expression, which is going to be user email is equal to ID. That's it. Okay, user email is equal to ID. I'm just going to save this. I'm just going to call this my control row, something like that. Click that. So now the user is going to have just their control row. Okay, good. Let's see this. I'm not sure why there's an error. All right. So let's see. Plus. Good. So this row belongs to the user. Now we need to also set the entries to make sure it belongs to the user. So I'm going to come here to entries and then selected row, which is a slice. We're going to update it. So aside this, we want to add A and D and add our user email equal to ID. That's number one. And we now know that we're no longer using the ID as a determinant of the number of rows. We are using number of rows as a determinant of the number of rows. Okay, so I'm going to close this like that. All right, I'm going to click save. Something is wrong here. User email. Okay, let's save this. Click done. Click save. So I'm going to set this to tablets. Let's come to tracking table, show in preview. Click on the plus. Right now, if I increase the number of rows, I'm going to set this to this to projects, number of rows. Let me set this to, okay. So our number of rows is not popping up, and let's try and understand why. So let's go to entries. Let's look at this again. Okay, I have a feeling there's something wrong here, but I just can't seem to see it. Okay, user email is equal to ID. Great. It's supposed to be user email is equal to GCID. Good. GCID is where you have the user's email. I knew I was missing something. Click done, click save. Fantastic. Now let's save this. So now we can tell for sure that's not the reason why. Now let me see. I think there's something still wrong with this formula. Okay, so user email is equal to GCID, and then GCID. Let me see. Yeah. So what's wrong? User email is equal to GCID, and number of rows is less than index general 1. Oh, okay, great. So I also need to update this to make sure that I'm picking the user's general control, not just anybody's general control, right? I need to pick the user's general control. So what do we do? How do we ensure that we are picking the general control that belongs to this user? There are a number of things. You can use a lookup formula to pick it up, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say lookup user email, right? And I'm going to go into the general controls table. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for ID, which is where the emails are. And I'm going to say, okay, for this particular email, give me the number of entries. Good, this should work. Click save, click done. Right, good. Now you see this, and click save. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Hopefully we've gotten it right this time around. So click here, show in preview, click this plus. Okay, now if I increase this to 3, I should have 3, good. 2, I should have 2, and then I should be able to make my entries over here. So I'm going to select my names, Marcos, Samuel, this vehicle, that vehicle, fuel, let's say 4, 16, let's select the dates. Okay, and I'm going to click save. I'm going to bring this guy down, save. Right, so this is just going to run a bit, and then I expect everything to just disappear. Okay, syncing, let's see. Fantastic, so it's gone, right? And then the new entry should pop up somewhere here. Okay, so we have this in place, we have everything done, and that is how we're going to make sure that two users can use the app at the same time by simply having placeholders for each user. I know it's been very interesting updates to what you already know, and I hope you learned something new. So thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you in the next video, and please subscribe, share, comment, and like. Thank you. Bye, guys.